Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever been scrolling, just scrolling through your feed, and you close the app feeling, I don't know, just tired, drained, maybe even angry? Well, there's a really good reason for that, and it goes so much deeper than just algorithms. We're going to break down exactly what's going on inside your head.
So let's talk about someone I bet we can all relate to on some level, Sarah. She's smart, she wants to stay on top of things, but lately, trying to be informed just feels bad. Every single time she opens her phone, it's like this tidal wave of fear, anger, and this feeling that the world is just completely and hopelessly divided. Sound familiar at all?
And that really gets to the heart of it, right? Why does trying to consume information so often leave us feeling worse off? Now, the easy answer is to point fingers at, fake news or the big tech companies. But the real battleground, the place where this fight is actually won or lost, it's inside our own minds.
To really get what's happening, we've got to look at our brain's operating system. And you have to think of it like this. It's ancient software. It was absolutely brilliant for keeping our ancestors alive. But today, in this crazy, hyper-connected world, it's got some pretty serious bugs.
Just imagine for a second you're one of our ancestors out on the savannah. What's more important for your survival? Taking a moment to appreciate a beautiful sunset, or noticing that tiny little rustle in the grass that might be a lion? Yeah, evolution already made that choice for us. It hardwired our brains to prioritize threats above everything else.
And this survival instinct, well, it actually has a name. It's called the negativity bias. It's this fundamental feature of how our minds work that makes us automatically zoom in on the bad news. To put it really simply, our brains are hardwired to click on the scary stuff. For our ancestors, it was way better to mistake a stick for a snake 100 times than to mistake a snake for a stick just once.
But here's the kicker. That ancient alarm system, that threat detector, it's not scanning the horizon for predators anymore. Nope, it's scanning your social media feed. And in today's attention economy, the people designing these platforms know that fear and outrage are the absolute best tools they have to hijack that system and keep you scrolling.
So this negativity bias is kind of like the baseline vulnerability. But then it gets supercharged by these incredibly powerful emotional shortcuts our brains use to make sense of the world. So let's look at how these shortcuts just create the perfect storm for manipulation.
All right, get this. This is called prospect theory. And the guys who came up with it won a Nobel Prize. And it sounds complicated, but it's actually super simple. All it means is that losing something hurts about twice as much as gaining that exact same thing feels good. That fear of loss, it is a ridiculously powerful motivator.
And this chart just lays it out perfectly, doesn't it? As you can see, the emotional spike from the pain of losing $100 is way, way more intense than the pleasure you get from finding it. This imbalance is so important because it's exactly why stories about what you stand to lose, your country, your safety, your way of life, are so incredibly effective at grabbing you by the collar.
And then you've got this little mental shortcut, the availability heuristic. See, our brains are kind of lazy. We don't really judge how likely something is by looking at boring statistics. We judge it by how easily a scary story pops into our head. So if your feed is just flooded with stories about crime, you're going to feel like crime is out of control, even if the actual data says it's going down. Emotionally charged stories just feel more true.
And this table right here illustrates perfectly how these biases aren't just some dusty old psychology concepts. No, they are the active ingredients being used to engineer disinformation today. It doesn't matter if it's the fear of losing an election, fear of a new vaccine, or fear of some kind of social threat. The strategy is always the same. Use powerful, negative emotions to bypass your rational brain entirely.
Okay, so that was all the bad news. It can sound a little bleak, right? But here's the good news. Just understanding these vulnerabilities is the single biggest step you can take to defending yourself. So let's totally shift gears and talk about how you can build up your own mental immune system with 3 really powerful lines of defense. These are 3 simple, totally actionable strategies you can start using literally today. First, becoming aware of your own emotional reactions. Second, giving yourself a cooling off period. And third, consciously choosing what you let into your brain. Let's break them down.
So the first line of defense is all about just turning that critical lens inward. Before you hit share, before you fire off that angry comment, just pause and ask yourself these questions. What am I feeling right now? Anger? Fear? Okay, is this post designed to make me feel this way? Is it painting a really simple good versus evil picture?
And, maybe the most important one, who actually benefits if I spread this feeling?
Your second line of defense is maybe one of the most powerful tools you have. And honestly, it's so simple it can be summed up with just a single number.
This is the 24-hour rule. Think about it. Disinformation needs that immediate, intense, hot-blooded emotional reaction to spread like wildfire. By just committing to doing nothing for 24 hours, you let that initial chemical rush in your brain fade away. Your rational mind has a chance to come back online, and you'd be surprised how often, within a day, new context comes out that completely changes the story. And finally, you have to be the curator of your own mind. I mean, you wouldn't try to live on a diet of only junk food, right? So why would you live on a media diet of only outrage? You have to actively seek out information that's constructive or nuanced or just gives you a totally different perspective. It's about intentionally fighting back against that built-in negativity bias. You know, when you start putting these tools together, something really powerful starts to happen. You make this shift from being just a passive consumer, constantly just reacting to whatever gets thrown in your feed, to becoming an empowered, thoughtful citizen who's actually in control.
Please, never forget this. In the 21st century, your focused attention is the most valuable commodity on the planet, period. And your mind? Your mind is the territory where that battle is being fought every single day.
And this is what it's all about, really. The goal isn't to disengage from the world or become cynical about everything you see. Not at all. The goal is to become wise. It's to build a mental framework that's strong enough to let you navigate all this chaos and still find what's true and what really matters. By understanding the quirks of your own mind, you can take back your attention, and you can reclaim your ability to think clearly for yourself. So the only question left is, are you ready to take back control? Thanks so much for diving into this with me.